I told you can't trust these. Now, Puffy done killed Tupac, man.
50 Cent went on stage last year and said this.
Maybe I said because we got Tupac.
You know, and I know, that everyone believes that Diddy was involved in both these shootings and had a direct involvement in your brother's death. That is what the streets have said for 27 years. That's why 50 Cent said it. That's why Eminem has said similar stuff. Would you be comfortable saying that you believe Diddy had nothing to do with it?
No, I wouldn't be comfortable saying that because I don't know. If you look at all the theories, the theory involving him is quite high on the list.
Ron, any comments? Any comments on the trial so far? Any opening statements?
He's having his day.
He's having his day?
He's having his day. We trust the justice system.
Thank you, sir.
Next, Voice One. Netflix's newest docuseries delivers a sharp, compelling re-examination of Tupac Shakur's life and tragic passing, cutting through speculation to focus on the era's intense rivalries, cultural pressures, and unresolved questions that still dominate public discussion. Instead of pointing fingers, it revisits the historical backdrop and the long-standing conversations that have surrounded major figures in the music world, including the frequent public mentions of Sean Diddy Combs. By confronting lingering uncertainties with context and clarity, the series draws viewers deeper into one of hip-hop's most powerful and enduring mysteries.
The truth.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
Because you listen, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you hire somebody to kill Pac? But no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah. No, I mean, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? It's nonsense.
Which we never believed.
In Combs, The Reckoning, filmmakers chart Sean Diddy Combs' ascent into a dominant force in hip-hop, spotlighting the ambition, strategy, and influence that defined his legacy well before his recent legal scrutiny entered the public eye. The series closely examines his uneasy history with Tupac Shakur, a relationship remembered by Tupac's cousin William Lesane as growing steadily more tense, while anchoring both men within the explosive height of the East Coast-West Coast rivalry. Through first-hand reflections, the docuseries captures the pressure, rivalry, and shifting loyalties that surrounded these cultural giants, revealing how that divide fueled decades of speculation and debate. Without asserting conclusions, it revisits the events and unresolved questions surrounding Tupac's 1996 death in Las Vegas, underscoring why the story still grips the public imagination.
From the former president of Bad Boy, Kirk Burroughs, who alleged during this time, Diddy had him hiring a whole bunch of people and getting cars to drive to Las Vegas. And he is now very curious into why Diddy wanted to do this. And he said, in his opinion, he now believes that Diddy was behind.
Williams speaks with striking candor, portraying the tension between the two artists as intense, personal, and long-standing, while suggesting that Tupac's rising power and creative independence may have been perceived as a serious challenge, rather than assigning fault. He urges viewers to examine the wider atmosphere surrounding the 1994 New York shooting, pointing to an era defined by confusion, instability, and limited clarity as events unfolded. He questions how much anyone truly understood in real time, reinforcing the uncertainty that shaped public perception. Echoing that perspective, music veteran Gene Deal has also addressed the fierce competitive pressure between the two figures, noting that the rivalry added weight to an already volatile chapter in hip-hop history and helped fuel years of speculation and debate.
Tupac blueprint and changed Biggs and Bad Boy in image. I Get Around, talked about how fly you was, how many girls you mess with, how many cars you drive, how much money you got, what you willing to do. He took his image. Pac was the first one on the scene wearing Versace shirts. He went and got the same Versace shirts Pac had. Which, all right. Some dudes would do that. You would never catch me wearing something else, something that somebody else got. He was knocking down all the women that he thought Pac was knocking down. And what I mean is having sex with them. Why would you want to have sex with women you know for sure a dude that was once cool with you?
Alongside Williams' remarks, Tupac's brother Moprim adds that the circumstances surrounding Tupac's death still demand closer scrutiny, arguing that the story remains incomplete without a full and careful review of every angle. He stresses the importance of examining the broader climate of the time and the many people linked to that turbulent era, not to point fingers, but to bring clarity where uncertainty has lingered. His perspective reinforces the idea that only a thorough and balanced examination can move the conversation closer to a clearer understanding of the truth.
And you want to see how serious the Vegas PD is going to take this case. Because Keefe D is people that he name dropped that you want to see if they're going to investigate?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm curious to see how they plan to deal with the case, because he, in his own admissions, mentions other people. You know, are they going to say what happened to these people? Yes, Puffy being one of them. I don't know where that's going to lead, but I do believe there were accomplices. And I don't think all of them have been looked at. So, you know, because over the years, you know, it's a lot of years, you know, amongst the family, we talk, we want to figure it out too. We thinking certain things too. So, you know, we're waiting to see if we can trust this process. I feel like it's bigger because I haven't heard anything about that part of the story from the prosecutor's office. I haven't heard anything about Puffy from the prosecutor's office, even though Keefe D implicates him on these videos that they claim they're using to indict him. Even you got a Crip affiliate from somewhere, but you still not gonna talk about the guy that he mentions by name on the thing? Yeah, I mean, you know, it's exhausting. You know, or you know, I'm waiting to see how far they go, because that's what everybody's talking about. That's what everybody's talking about. What about Puffy? You know, so it would be weird that the prosecutor's office wouldn't know and address it. That's why I don't know whether to trust this shit.
He later recalled that in Tupac's final moments, his brother appeared to be struggling to communicate something meaningful, a haunting detail that has never left him. That memory continues to fuel his resolve to seek clarity and understanding about what truly occurred, keeping the pursuit of answers alive years after the tragedy.
Condition, because you got so many conflicting stories, right? You got some people that say that, you know, Tupac was moving in the hospital, he was, you know, talking in the hospital, but you being there, from your point of view, how was Tupac condition?
By the time I got there, remember I was coming from LA, so by the time I got there, he had tubes in his throat, in his nose, in his mouth. So he ain't talk to me, not verbally. He was conscious. He was trying to talk. He did want to talk, but he didn't actually verbalize any words. I always, you know, that's one of my, going to be one of the biggest mysteries in my life, because he was trying to tell me something. He was trying so hard. He was shaking the bed. He was looking at me, you know, with his big old eyes, you know, and I know he was trying to tell me something, but I don't know.
Something else I want to ask you, because I think it would be appropriate before we get off the Vegas thing, last thing, because I know I did an interview with Napoleon, and they all gave me their reasons why Afeni pulled the plug because of his condition, but I mean, it would be more appropriate since you was his brother. Afeni, her decision to pull the plug on him, from your point of view, What made her pull the plug? Respectfully.
Because he had already flatlined a couple of times. And she didn't want him to keep going through that. So I think it was like twice before she, let him go. And that's reasonable. You know what I mean? When I was, when I found out, I could live with it.
Kirk Burroughs, a former senior figure at Bad Boy, later acknowledged that the tension between Tupac and Diddy may have influenced the chaos of that era more deeply than he understood at the time. A view echoed by William, who recalled how their relationship grew increasingly strained as Diddy pushed Biggie's rise while Tupac carved out his own independent path.
If he knew Tupac was going to get robbed at Quad Studios?
Well, I don't think I'm not going to say he knew exactly he was going to get robbed, but he knew he was going to get dealt with. Because he was up there with Andre Harrell, and he was with Jimmy Henchman. And even though I think Pac may have owed Jimmy some money, or he was being disrespectful with Jimmy, and Jimmy ain't the type of dude that you was going to be disrespectful for, because he had some real wolves. And Jimmy was about it himself. You know what I mean? So now, in that essence, Puff is up there in the office with him. They know they about to deal with Pac, you know what I'm saying? I don't know the extent that Jimmy told him what they was going to do to Pac, or he's going to get dealt with or whatever like that. But I know Puff had a whip.
Diddy had hoped for a closer creative alliance, but diverging ambitions created a competitive atmosphere that intensified the surrounding pressure. That charged backdrop framed Tupac's 1994 visit to Quad Studios, where he was unexpectedly attacked and seriously injured, an incident that became one of hip-hop's most examined turning points. Although Diddy, Biggie, and others were reportedly present in the building, authorities never connected them to the attack, and Diddy has consistently denied any involvement. Still, Tupac's later remarks about his doubts and emotions kept speculation alive, while Gene Deal offered a contrasting view, describing the incident as a reflection of the era's high-stakes rivalries. By presenting these conflicting perspectives, the series exposes the volatile mix of ambition, competition, and loyalty that defined 1990s hip-hop and shaped one of its most scrutinized chapters.
You know that he had another bracelet that was like a bicycle chain with charms on it, right? Just gonna say that, all right? He had the diamond chain on with the chain with diamonds at each length going through it, right? He had a big stone on the diamond ring and the smaller stone, one for 35,000 and the one for 20,000. All right, so even Stretch that did this shit, I took his bracelet too, and changed it and put my man's name on it and took off the name on it. So motherfuckers claiming that this even
so hold on, homie.
Claim that he was Tupac's stepdaddy wrote me and wanted me to have my people meet him and give him back the chain and shit, talk about some redemption shit. You know, them niggas ain't
So hold on, hey Dex. So that day that happened, November 30th, 1994, it wasn't just Tupac and Freddie Nichols. Stretch was with them too?
Stretch was with them too, yeah. Stretch set the whole shit up. He was in cahoots. He was giving us play-by-play where they was at. On their way there, he was in communication with Jimmy and shit. You know, Jimmy promised them two big eggs and shit.
Wow, so he sold Pac out for a quarter brick, basically.
Basically, yeah.
And
too.
Wow.
Years later, in 2011, Dexter Isaac came forward claiming involvement in the 1994 Quad Studios attack, asserting that he acted under the direction of a music industry figure linked to the events. His account added another layer to the enduring mystery, though, like many narratives tied to the incident, it remains unverified and joins a long list of claims, recollections, and speculation that continue to swirl around the case. The episode highlights just how intricate, contested, and heavily debated this chapter of hip-hop history has become.
There was a big frame picture, photograph on one of your walls, and it had Tupac on it wearing a Henchman Entertainment t-shirt. Now, a few years ago, there was a guy named Dexter Isaac that came forward who claimed that you were connected to the Tupac shooting. Do you have anything to say about that?
No, 100%. I've never ducked from answering any Tupac questions, which I could understand if I don't know how Quad Studio morphed into, like I was in Vegas and was part of the shooters that actually ended in his demise. Let me say, me and Tupac were friends. Me and him were friends. I had nothing against Tupac. I liked him. He was younger than me. I'm sure that he looked up to me. There's many moments that me and Pac had that were very intimate, where he's talked to me about things that he was afraid of or things that he loved to do, and all of those kind of things. Here it is, you have a prosecutor and you have a guy who's in jail for life. When they pulled Dexter down to interview him in regards to what he knew about me and Tupac and so on and so forth, I have no doubt at this point that Dexter probably was the guy or one of the assailants on Tupac. But Dexter's story just doesn't make sense. Dexter tells a story that I wanted a ring for my fiance, and so I tell him to get the diamond ring from Tupac so I can give it to my fiance, and so on and so forth. He tells this magical story. The only person that can believe such a story is Todd Kaminsky, who was the prosecutor who was trying to make something out of nothing.
To make it clear, man, when Puffy came to LA, you used to give him protection, right? From the Southside Crips because he was scared of Suge Knight?
It speaks for itself, my brother. He was playing chess, and I guess we was playing checkers, cuz.
So he was really scared of Suge Knight like that, yo?
That's what it looked. That's what it sounded like, yeah.
Jimmy Henchman, meanwhile, has strongly denied any involvement, insisting he had no connection to the Quad Studios attack. His denial adds to the web of conflicting accounts, highlighting just how much of this pivotal chapter in hip-hop history remains shrouded in uncertainty and continues to spark debate. Next, Voice 9. Jimmy Henchman, for his part, categorically denied any involvement, asserting he had no ties to the Quad Studios incident. His denial adds to the tangled web of conflicting accounts, underscoring just how much of this chapter in hip-hop history remains clouded by uncertainty and continued debate.
Can you talk about that? Yeah, so there's, let's see, Keefe D claims that there is this ongoing conversation. It happens on 3 different occasions, but most specifically when he and Puffy are at this place called Greenblatt's Deli on Sunset. And they're there. Things have spiraled out of control. Puffy's really concerned about, the welfare, his safety. And he tells Keefe D, man, I just need you to take care of this situation with Suge and Tupac. It's out of control. Tupac's on vinyl talking about killing all of our kids when they grow up. And, it's just become this really serious conflict. And he says, I just need you to take care of him. And Keefe D's like, that's no problem. That's what we do. And so an agreement was made, according to Keefe D, for an amount of money. And they kind of just let it go at that point in time. But of course, Keefe D knows in the back of his mind, this is what Puffy wants done. And they all end up out in Las Vegas. Suge's out there.
Before you say that, there's a couple things I want to talk about from Vegas. So when you say that Keefe got offered an amount of money, according to him, was there a dollar amount?
Yeah, so there was a dollar amount. But I think that, you know, the nuances of this conversation are that, like, now I'll give you $1 million, whatever it takes. You know, it's like exaggerated speech. But of course, when we interview Keefe D, he's like, yeah, that's the agreement amount was $1 million.
So according to Keefe, he's claiming that Puffy offered him $1 million to kill Suge or Tupac?
Both of both. Yeah, both their names came up. And according to Keefe D, he says, you know, Tupac's put himself on the list by all the talking that he was doing. But it was really about Suge because it was Suge's muscle.
Keith D recalled feeling terrified as tensions escalated, describing how the feud between Tupac and his rivals intensified after hit, Updropped. He painted the atmosphere as electrified and volatile, with conversations reflecting the immense pressure and high stakes of the era. The documentary leverages these recollections to show just how fiercely competitive and combustible hip-hop had become, capturing the fear, rivalry, and unrest that surrounded some of its most influential figures.
Diddy paid him $1 million to try to take out Tupac and Suge Knight. Investigators early on already zeroed in on Keefe D because he is the uncle of Orlando Anderson, who was the main suspect in Tupac's unaliving. During this time, they believe that Keefe D was also in Vegas, and this is things that we have heard him say over the years in his multiple interviews, and one reason why he's on trial for the unaliving of Tupac. But then investigators really started to get curious when they found out that Keefe D was at the Peterson Museum the night that Biggie was unalived. Back in 1997, at the height of this investigation, police actually raided Keefe D's house for gang activity, and they seized one of the vehicles that were at his house because it matched the Chevy Impala description of the person who drove away after Biggie was unalived.
Keefe D was a shot caller for the Southside Crips and the uncle of Orlando Anderson. It was determined that Keefe D had been in Las Vegas along with his nephew Orlando the night Tupac was shot. Additionally, Keefe D's name had come up in the original Biggie investigation when it was discovered that he was at the party at the Peterson and he had access to a Chevy Impala.
After Tupac was shot, there was rumors on the street that Bad Boy Records owed the Southside Crips $1 million.
After seizing Keefe D's vehicle and raiding his house for gang activity, this is when investigators would first try to question Keefe D if he had any involvement in Biggie's unaliving. And at this point in time, he really didn't talk, and he told them that they were
Beyond the controversies tied to Tupac, Diddy has long been at the center of speculation and rumor around other high-profile hip-hop moments, a testament to the intense scrutiny and fascination that have followed him throughout his career. The documentary explores how these circulating narratives, true or not, fueled the era's charged atmosphere, amplifying tension, rivalry, and intrigue across the music world.
The story to what I heard from somebody that I know is not, you know, I know she's not lying because she had no reason to lie. First, she told me she saw somebody doing something to him, and she walked in and she thought, you know, he never said nothing. He didn't even acknowledge her. So she's thinking she's under the radar. Next thing, she's hanging out in Miami, and, you know, she comes back and says she don't know what happened, and she woke up, and so, you know.
What did she say she saw?
Someone giving him head. That's as far as I'll go, and then you could do the math.
Were they famous? Did she say they were famous?
Oh no, they wasn't famous. They was an assistant working with her. Yeah. So.
An assistant. I want to guess, but I'm not.
She didn't tell me who no, it's not somebody that you would know. It was somebody that, like, she came there, she worked doing photography and some type of media work where they shot ads and things like that. They were there to work, and she walked in the wrong bathroom and caught the wrong thing.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, if she got drugged, it probably was some videotapes made to tell her to shut the hell up and don't repeat what she...
Kirk Burroughs recalled the unusual circumstances on the night Tupac was shot, including the group's separate travel plans to the Mike Tyson fight, which added another layer to an already chaotic evening. The series also highlights Keefe D's recollections of the aftermath, while noting that Diddy has consistently denied involvement and was never considered a suspect by Las Vegas authorities. Beyond that night's events, the documentary examines the deep-seated tensions and rivalries that defined Tupac and Diddy's relationship, capturing the volatile mix of ambition, conflict, and scrutiny that kept the hip-hop world on edge and continues to drive debate decades later. Yet, Tupac's death is just one thread of the documentary's story. It also delves into Diddy's relationship with Biggie, questioning how authentic or uncomplicated that bond really was. Accounts from those close to the artists reveal a far more complex reality than public appearances suggested, exposing the intricate mix of loyalty, ambition, and underlying tension that defined one of hip-hop's most iconic partnerships.